three things.
Yes.
He has three objectives for that. That's why he's come. He's come to steal. He's come to kill.
Yes.
And he's come to destroy.
That's right. Amen.
But Jesus said, I like it when the scripture
Yes.
turns the page, don't you?
Yes.
And Jesus said, but I have come. That's what matters, you see. I have come.
Yes.
Hallelujah. The King has come. The mediator has come. The one who's come to deal with your sins is here. I've come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. It's good to see all of you. I appreciate Pastor Land and his family, the work that he's done, his faithfulness to the Lord. I preached, I guess, sort of evangelistic messages while he was away, and I'm afraid I haven't pastoral message this morning. And being a pastor most of my life, it's hard for me to preach evangelistically, but I want to just share a few thoughts this morning. As I was saying, a lot of us have those kinds of stories to tell, where the enemy of our soul has come to rob us of our future, rob us of the blessings of God. And sometimes we feel inferior. We feel like everybody else has done so much more than we have. But I heard in the scripture, I read in the scripture where he said, well done, thou good, and what kind of a servant? Faithful servant. He didn't say, well done, successful servant. He didn't say, well done, pastor of a large church. He didn't say, well done, you who have had ministries equivalent to Billy Graham or Jimmy Swaggart or somebody else. But he said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Faithful servant. And your pastor is a faithful man. His family's a faithful family. And Pastor Kemp, how many years he pastored this church. He's a faithful man. And is still here this morning. And I'm trusting the Lord, and I believe in God. There's greater and greater things for this ministry here. Turn with me, please, if you will, to the book of Ecclesiastes. The book of Ecclesiastes. People generally read out of this book at funerals. I just want to read out of it this morning. Ecclesiastes chapter 2. Ecclesiastes chapter 2. This is the King James Version. I'll give a couple of scriptures this morning out of other versions, but I'm going to begin with the King James. And whosoever mine eyes, and whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. Is that something? Everything I wanted my eyes to see, everything I wanted, I had no restraints. I had no restraints. It was there, I watched it. Whatever I wanted to see, that may describe our culture today, mightn't it? Whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy. I did everything I wanted to do. If it felt good, I did it. If it looked good, I saw it. I looked at it. For my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. And he said, after I looked at it all, I came to this conclusion. Then I looked upon all the works that my hands had wrought, and all the labor that I had labored to do. And behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. Wow. If you read this book, you find that he was the wealthiest man of his day. He's considered to be the wisest man of his day. This man had everything that most Americans and I guess most people in other parts of the world are striving for. He had it. He had it all. He had arrived. He made it big. He made it big.
Yes.
And he said, when I made it big, when I got to the top of the hill, and I'd seen it all and experienced it all, I discovered it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. It didn't make me happy. It didn't make me happy.
Yeah.
I'm going to share just a minute. You be seated if you'd like. The night I was saved, on July 3rd, 1966, I have just celebrated my 50th anniversary of knowing the Lord. The night I was saved, I was 22 years old, and I had done a pretty good job of taking my life down the wrong path. I had, at that point, I've been able to get myself a good job. We had a nice little 3-bedroom home in Middle Headlands. I had a brand new car, first new car I'd ever had, driven junkers, all kinds of junk, you know what that's like. My car today has almost 200,000 miles on it. But that was a brand new Ford. And I had nice clothes, had some cowboy boots, had an electric guitar, and 2 friends of mine that we would go out on Saturday night and we'd play in the honky-tonks. Music for the drums, entertainers. And I wanted to make it big. I wanted to have stuff. I'd been raised very, very poor, in abject poverty. And I didn't want the rest of my life to be that way, but I'd gotten myself to the point that I was a sad, sad man. I was like Solomon. And that night, I won't tell you, it's a long story, but in a little church house in a place called East Creek, Virginia, my dad looked at me and he said, "Raymond, don't you think you need to pray?" And perhaps unbeknownst to him, I don't know, maybe he didn't know. But Brother Kim, there was a hole in my heart, there was a hole in my life, a chasm in there. And I tried to fill it up with everything else, but nothing else fit in there. It was a place that God designed from the inception of creation. He created a chasm in humanity that only God could fill. And when he looked at me and he said, "Do you think you need to pray?" And I thought, how you might we're talking. And I thought, I'm not happy. I'm married with 3 children. I have a good job. I have nice clothes. I'm not happy. Something's wrong. And I thought, it made sense. And I thought, maybe that's what I need. And that's the night that I received Jesus Christ as my Savior. Hallelujah. Well, let's pray. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. I bless you this morning. I bless you this morning. We offer ourselves to you, Lord, on the altar of sacrifice this morning. I bring myself to you. All that I have and all that I am, sir, I bring to you. And I only have myself to offer. And I ask you now to touch these lips of clay and to touch the ears of the hearers of this service this morning. Bless your word. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Well, we get to say this now almost every year. The presidential election campaign is in full swing.
Yeah.
Amen. Used to it just happened every 4 years. Now they start, as soon as they're elected, they start campaigning for the office 4 years from now. And so all the stuff that they do and all the stuff that they say is to try to guarantee or perhaps help them to get elected for the next presidential election.
Yeah.
So the battle lines are drawn this morning. They're drawn, of course, along political lines and on the social lines and even religious lines.
Yes.
Millions of Americans will go to the polls and they will exercise the right to vote. Aren't you glad we have that right?
Right.
I hear people saying today concerning this election, I'm not going to vote. I hear people say, I'm just going to go and write in a name. I'm going to be a write-in person. I think we ought to vote. I think we ought to vote. Because there are some people whom I value almost more than anybody else in this country. And it's those men and women now who have fought in the armed services or who have served in the armed services of the United States of America. I wonder this morning, how many veterans we have in the service? Would you stand, please? Do we have any veterans in the service? Veterans don't like to do that. They kind of don't like to be acknowledged. But I acknowledge you guys this morning, and I want you to know, Pastor Kip, and all of you guys here, Pastor Dickey, Brother Noah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want you guys to know that I appreciate you this morning because it is you, sir, who have fought and you have served to guarantee, preserve the rights of this nation. Give them a round of applause if you will, please. In every election, it seems that there is a deepening of the chasm that divides the people of America. The battle lines aren't just drawn along political lines, different parties, but between beliefs, what we believe and what they believe, the convictions that we have as Christian people, and sometimes it's just American people who are not Christians. We still have those Bible-based convictions. We still believe that it's wrong to steal and to kill and to commit adultery, all those kinds of things. And we're not afraid to post it on the courthouse wall. And we're not afraid to salute the flag. And we're not afraid to express our beliefs.
Yes.
When the flag comes by, we're not afraid to applaud. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We still do that. We believe they ought to do it this morning everywhere. I guess we do. So we have different convictions, different ideologies. We're in different camps. We like to feel that we're in the right camp. Amen?
Yeah, come on.
We like to believe that we're on the right side. And I really sincerely believe that we're on the right side.
Amen.
Amen. And so we like to feel that way. And we like to tell people that God is on our side. Amen. We like to know that God is on our side. Terrorist attacks, whatever happened, we feel like God is still on our side. Even churches who divide and split, both sides will believe God is on our side.
Yes.
We're the people that's right. You know, we've had splits in our church. I don't know if we've ever had a big split in Connie. I think we've had some splits I never even knew about.
Go ahead.
They split and I didn't know it.
Amen.
Never had some splits that almost happened. It didn't happen. Thank God for that.
Bless you.
I read this story of a fellow who had been in a shipwreck. And he got a hold of a piece of lumber and he had floated to a desert island. And he had been there for several years, learned how to survive there. And finally one day they discovered him and they came to get him. And when they came to his little camp, he had a nice little house that he was living in. And they said, "This is nice." And said, "We've come to rescue you. We're impressed at how that you've survived all of these years." He said, looked out back and there's two other buildings out there. And he said, "Well, what's that building there?" He said, that's my church. That's where I go to church. I live here in this house. I go to church there. And he said, "What's that other building?" He said, "That's my other church. That's where I used to go to church." It's an amazing thing, you know, but sometimes we can't even get along with ourselves. God help us. We can't even get some days. Some days you just can't stand yourself. You know what I'm saying? You want to say, "Self, go away. I don't like you." We need to remember that we see everything as Westerners. We see things different than most people in the world. Sociologist Tony Campolo wrote about the progressive cultures, how a culture progresses. And he said they list their history. When things happen in their tribes, when they have wars, when they have certain accomplishments, they record that in history. And the primitive
than their God becoming their belief system. We need to question what we believe, and we need to turn back to God here in the United States of America. Even, as I've said, entire political parties believe that God is on their side. I don't know about you, the Republicans feel that God is on their side. And the Democrats, I believe they feel like that God is on their side. We all feel that way. This is going to shock some of us. God is not a Democrat, nor a Republican. And I don't think He likes either one of us. I don't think God likes the Democrats. I don't think He likes the Republicans. I don't think He likes the progressives. I don't think He likes the rest of them. I'm not going to continue to tax my brain to try to think of all the parties. But God, I don't think God likes it. I don't think God likes what is happening here in the United States of America. I want to go on record this morning. I believe that God is incensed about what is happening here in this land, because God helped our people to form this nation. I was sitting in a service on it. I think it was a Memorial Day service in our church. And every Memorial Day and every Veterans Day, we had special services for guys that had served in the military. And we acknowledged them and recognized them. And I was sitting there, and God gave me a message in tongues and interpretation. And I gave the message, and all of a sudden, I started interpreting. And you know, I don't know if God is used to an interpretation, but most of the time you kind of understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? This day I just heard myself speaking. It was the most amazing thing, Brother Kim. And I was telling the people that God had established the United States of America to take the place or to do what He intended for ancient Israel to do way back there thousands of years ago. You see, God wanted them to be a lighthouse in the world and to change the world and turn the world to God. But they failed in this calling that God had called them to do. And God said, I heard God saying, I have raised up the United States of America to be a lighthouse to the world. Now that doesn't mean that we replace ancient Israel. That's called replacement theology. I don't believe that at all. I believe that nationally Israel is still God's chosen nation. And one day they will turn back to God. But in the meantime, I believe that God has chosen the United States of America, and He has raised us up to be a light in the world. But I tell you this morning, the light is not shining very brightly. Did you know that about over 90% of the missionaries that have ever gone out into the world have come from churches just like this here in the United States of America? About 93% of all the missionaries that have ever gone to the foreign soil, any time in the world came from here. Did you know that about 93 to 94% of missions money, of the finances that have ever been given to missions were given by people just like you and just like me. 93 to 94% of that money has come from churches just like this. I believe that is a confirmation to me that God in fact has appointed and chosen the United States of America to go out into all the world and to preach the gospel to every creature, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Ghost, and make disciples. Amen. Hallelujah. Joshua 3, verses 13 and 15 through 15. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, a man stood by him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, see, they're about to invade the promised land. They're about to take over. And he said to him, are you with us, or are you for our adversaries? Are you with us? Are you a Democrat or a Republican? Are you for us, or are you for the heathen people over there, the Canaanites? Who are you for? Whose side are you on? And this answer has always intrigued me. Listen to what he said. No. How's that to answer the question? Whose side are you on? No. Are you on my side or their side? No. What? What a way to answer a question. Listen to him. You know what he's saying? I don't stoop that low. You're talking to the man here, you know. Amen. No, but as commander of the army of the Lord, as a commander of the army of the Lord, I have come. I know I'm not on your side, I'm not on their side. I am on God's side. I am here to represent God. I am here to represent heaven. I am the commander of the Lord's army. I don't take sides. I'm on God's side. And things are going to happen the way God wants them done.
Amen.
I tell you, sooner or later, yes, but sooner or later the king is going to come back and he's going to take back his world.
Amen. Yes, he is.
Hallelujah. I'm the commander of the Lord's army. Hallelujah. He's saying, listen, Joshua, before we go any farther, I want us to get the basics right. Before we go any farther, I want us to understand some things.
Go ahead.
I want to get some things clarified. I want to get some things right here before we go any farther. In the process of wanting to be victorious and wanting to be winners, we reduce God to the level of humankind
Go ahead.
with the audacity to think that God himself would stoop to become on our sides.
Amen. Come on.
But we barely know what our side is all about. Hello.
That's good. Amen. That's good.
There is a way that seems right unto a man, he said, but the ways thereof are the ways of death. God said, my ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts. As high as the heavens are above the earth, so are my thoughts and my ways above yours. Why do you come over here and ask me? I'm on your side? No! I'm in charge here. I'm in charge here. I'm the captain of the Lord's army. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So here we are, we're at war and all of these things, and these are important things. These are important things. I tell you, the life of our nation is at stake. Amen. The life of this nation hangs in the balances.
Yes.
Amen. Our world is a very complicated, bewildering place. But this morning, I want to talk about getting back to where we were.
Amen. Bless the Lord.
Getting back to the basics. How many of you know we still need each other? We still need each other. I used to work with a guy. He said to me one day, he said, you know what? I paid my way. I said, what? He said, I don't owe anybody anything. I paid my way. I said, who do you think built that interstate highway that you drive on? Who do you think paid for the sidewalks? Who do you think paid for this plant? I said, you know, and all that you earned in your life, you couldn't build a highway from here to there. You couldn't build 2 miles of an interstate highway with all the money you ever made. You don't pay your way. Somebody else paid your way. People that went before us, they paved the way. Yeah. We still need each other. That was my point. We still need each other. You see, if this building were gone, we still need each other. We didn't have a church house to meet in. We still need each other. But if we were gone, we wouldn't need this building. This building, somebody would come over here and put a bar in it or something. But if we were gone, we wouldn't need a church building. One day that's going to happen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Amen. Yes.
So there are some really important things in life.
Amen.
I want to just talk about meditation. Several years ago, about 1989, a man called Robert Fulton wrote a book. He said, all I really need to know, I learned in kindergarten. Think about that. Well, we think we're sharp. We have degrees. We have education. You know, I know people have several degrees. They are brilliant. You know? But here's a guy who said, hey, I learned everything I needed to know about life when I was 6 years old. Think about that. He said, I learned that wisdom is not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile at Sunday school. Come on. There's where wisdom is. In the sand pile at Sunday school. Amen. He said, here's what I learned. learned this, that when you go out into the world, watch out for traffic. Hold hands and stick together.
Come on. Come on.
When you go out into the traffic, when you go out into the dangers of the world, hold hands and stick together.
Amen.
And he said, I noticed some wonders. He said, remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup? The roots go down and the plants go up. And nobody really knows how or why. He said, they're like that. He said, goldfish and hamsters and white mice, and even the little seed in the styrofoam cup, they all die. And so do we. And remember the Dick and Jane books, and the first word you learn, the biggest word of all, look. He says everything you need to know is there somewhere. The golden rule in love and basic sanitation, ecology and politics, and equality, sane living. Sane living. I used to run a 12-step program for several years in our church, and the AA group had one thing that was common with them. I don't know if they created it, initiated it, but they would always give you this is the definition of insanity. Keep doing the things you're doing and expect a different outcome. He said, you got to be nuts to think that.
Yeah.
If our nation continues to do what it's doing, our nation will, and think we'll have a different outcome. I've got news for you, my friends. It will not have a different outcome, because the Bible said that sin is a reproach to any people. Sin is a reproach to a nation. It's an abomination to God. And when we endorse sin, we violate our relationship with the Father.
Yeah. Amen. That's good.
At age 65, he rewrote the book. And he made a few changes. He says, so people ask me, so didn't you learn anything after kindergarten? He said, of course. I've learned what only time and experience can teach. What I've learned from age 6. These sentences stick out the most, he says. Everything, and I might add everybody, looks better at a distance.
Come on. Good point. Yes, man.
Everything looks better at a distance. He said, I learned that if you make it up, you have to live it down. He said, I've learned that everything is compost. You know what compost is, don't you? Rotting stuff. Well, he said, from the dust, Adam, you were taken, and to the dust shall return, sir. You may have all of your stuff. I've done a lot of funerals, and I used to say this, you know, I've never seen a U-Haul headed to the cemetery. Some smarter than I hired a U-Haul where somebody was doing his funerals and had it in the line, you know.